every day, dude, I hate being white. I think that's the best way to say it, is I hate being white. If it was up to me, I wouldn't be white.
I smile at the dead. Welcome back to the Sean Cross channel.
If you are here, most likely it is because you are a Fire from the Gods fan, which we are here. We are too here at Sean Cross, or at least I am. I don't know about you guys, my 422 subscribers thus far. If any of you guys subscribed, liked, commented per se, because of our last Fire from the Gods Breeaction that we did quite recently, actually, maybe just a month or two ago now, just crazy to think about. But this is going to be the Breeaction for 1,000 Lifetimes off of their upcoming, I don't know what month it is, but it's a full-length record. It's their first full-length through Better Noise Music, the same record label as Nothing More, Asking Alexandria, and plenty of artists that we will probably be plucking from the mix in the future, and hopefully have the opportunity to interview on the Anatomy podcast, because that would be pretty sweet to kind of expand into the more kind of just hype rock world, metal world. Anyways, this is 1,000 Lifetimes. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Hope you guys enjoy. Yeah. Fire from the Gods. 1,000 Lifetimes. Let's go. I like the golden theme.
Sick of feeling right and feeling wrong. I've been in this place way too long. I've been down and I've been strong. Like what the hell is going on? It's getting harder, but I know I'll make it. And there's no code in my DNA to front of fake it. I got these clouds hovering and hanging, and the darkness consumes me. How long will I stand and fight? God knows that I paid the price of 1,000 lifetimes. My soul, my blood, ain't that enough? God knows that I paid the price of 1,000 lifetimes. I must confess, I break from the stress. I tell my story, get it off my chest. Green light till I get it right. No stopping till I save my life. Harder to breathe, it's getting harder to see a future in front of me. Suffocating and vindicating, never a minute goes by, that's just a fight. How long will I stand and fight? God knows that I paid the price of 1,000 lifetimes. My soul, my blood, ain't that enough? God knows that I paid the price of 1,000 lifetimes.
That's probably a decent place to pause, because I do want to have respect to the record labels when I feel it's appropriate, and just, you know, the way YouTube works. But good God, like, after all these years, starting with the Narrative album and then American Sun, like, by no means is Fire from the Gods one of my favorite metalcore bands or favorite rock bands in the scene. But the moment that they kind of made their deal with Rise Records, and like that was really their first big step, just kind of ascending in the world of rock and metal music, I'm like, these guys, again, like that's kind of why I'm such a big fan of them, is because they have created this very righteous, very honest, authentic, organic corner of rock that mixes rock and metal with reggae and, you know, kind of R&B elements, which I think is really, really cool. And AJ is just such a good frontman. Obviously, like I said, and I've said this hundreds of times before, we are not about frontman syndrome here on the podcast, or on the channel, as well as the podcast, of course, but those go hand in hand. More or less, it's like, We're not about frontman syndrome here, but you definitely need a good frontman, a good face, a good voice to represent your band. And that's always been what AJ has been for me for Fire from the Gods. He's just a really good and distinguishable voice, which is awesome. It's just awesome. So let's rewind a little bit and let's continue enjoying 1,000 Life.
Pay the price of 1,000 lifetimes. My soul, my blood. Ain't that enough? God knows that I pay the price of 1,000 lifetimes. Giving my all, even when I fall. Back against the wall. When the push comes to shove, and I'm not giving up, no, no. Dedicated to the overworked, who put everything on the line for those they love until it hurts. Kept your head up when it got tough. Kept faith and love when the rules them get rough. 1,000 lives couldn't pay for the strength you gave or the energy you gave up. I haven't prayed in years, but I know you're there somewhere. How long will I stand and fight? God knows that I pay the price of 1,000 lifetimes. My soul, my blood, ain't that enough? God knows that I pay the price of 1,000 lifetimes. Oh yeah, 1,000 lifetimes. I pay the price of 1,000 lifetimes.
In us we trust, baby. That's what we're about here. Absolutely, man. So I did want to provide a little bit of commentary, some brief commentary upon what is most likely the lyrical depth of what the song has to offer, just right off the bat, which seems to be just providing some, it's providing a moment of silence, a memorial for like those in the United States and just in general of color that have just experienced what they have experienced all this time. And good God, I can't even imagine, like, every day, dude, I hate being white. I think that's the best way to say it, is I hate being white. If it was up to me, I wouldn't be white. Because when you say white in context to being a freaking Caucasian dude, unless if you happen to be, I guess, an Irishman, a Scotsman, because, you know, closer to the beginning of the United States and all that history. After all, one of the only prominent subdivisions, ethnicities, turning away from European white, German white, French white, British white, was Irish and Scottish white. And when they first came to the United States, they didn't go through as close to the torture and the abuse and the neglect as the African Americans did. But like, I will say that though I'm white, I am Irish Gaelic, which means that I'm both Irish and Scottish. So, you know, not that I know, but it's like, that's the only thing that kind of makes me feel better about being white, is that I happen to be one of the only white ethnicities that was kind of in the same field of neglect and labor abuse and slavery back then. Not as black people, that's not what I'm saying at all. But, you know, they were still subjugated into intense labor and sometimes slavery. So yeah, it's very important to look back and just remember. And then on top of that, I make it sound like I'm just talking about slavery. I'm trying to get to a point here. Just how neglected and just segregated, and just even today, especially here in the southern states with sundown cities and shit, which awful. And the people in charge should definitely be abolishing that, because that's heinous. That should be criminal. It's important to recognize the progress that we've made, but the 1,000 lifetimes, the 1,000 lives, the multiple generations consistently in certain families that have had to suffer just for us to get to this point. So just treat each other nice. That's one way to say it. Being white and now living in the true South, or closer to the true South. Okay, like don't let me get ahead of myself. I don't know. It's just important to always have that in mind and understand, acknowledge the sacrifice that some families have had to make generation through generation just to kind of have their voice heard and feel like they're being treated equally to what is some lanky, blonde hair, blue-eyed, pasty white fuck who thinks he's better than everybody. And that's just like the absolute worst version of white, is blonde hair, blue eye, and hates people of color. Like, what the fuck? But anyways, let's go ahead and check out their merch real quick. So I gotta tell you folks, I think this is probably the best pre-order merch line that they've done. The album is Soul Revolution. Let's figure out like when this comes out though, because I feel bad. Okay, October 20th. Like I said, dude, another banger in October. Are you kidding me? Fire from the Gods, bringing the heat, man. But I do like their new logo. I think this works better for their band so much more. But I like this, definitely. I like the very... I just love that logo for Soul Revolution. I wish a lot more bands did that, is just have a graphic, have font, have text that is specifically devoted to one album or EP. I know with my own project we will be doing that, so look forward to that if you're into that sort of fine detail. But like a lot of bands recently, they have a hot sauce that you can pre-order now. Catch a Fire Jamaican hot sauce. Okay, interesting. Jamaican hot sauce. I wonder what the ingredients are for that, because that actually sounds pretty fun. And I can't lie, I would love to have me some Fire from the Gods Soul Revolution themed hot sauce. That sounds pretty spicy. But yeah, they got a new album coming out this October, later October for sure. But I hope you guys enjoyed the song. I sure as hell did. I always love Fire from the Gods. If you want to see me do a front to back session in the near future, which album listening session, for Soul Revolution, please, pretty please, consider liking, commenting, subscribing. Sorry, your ears. Please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, hanging out for a little bit, man, because by people liking, commenting, subscribing, just providing me feedback on specific bands and the reactions I do for them, that is how I will be prioritizing doing front-to-back sessions from now on. Like, that just seems more logical to me. And, you know, when certain bands, or none of the bands I'm reacting to are being recommended, ultimately, at that point for the rest of the year, that is when I would just go out of my way to do a front-to-back session for it anyways, because that just sounds like fun. I do love listening to music, but I want to receive some feedback, guys. Come on, give me something. But this was Fire from the Gods. This was 1,000 Lifetimes, the Breeaction, here at Sean Cross. Please consider subscribing for the Anatomy Podcast, Under the Skin, my Sean Cross covers. We have a playlist on Spotify called The Anatomy Podcast's Greatest Hits, featuring songs from all of the bands and artists that we have featured on the podcast so far, and it will continue growing as we continue moving forward and acquiring more podcast clients. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I sure as hell did. And just like the great eternal music machine, let's keep rolling, people. Let the gears turn. We'll see you next time.